It's funny because you you think that they're not listening to you. Like, I know for a long time I was just like, I don't think Jaden understands what I'm trying to do. I don't think he understands like what I'm trying to get accomplished. And once again, I'm gonna say in front of God and the whole of who's watching, I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. And as a parent, I believe that you need to say to your kid face to face, yeah, I was wrong. I was completely wrong with what I thought was happening. And I haven't yet, but I'm going to say it to him. And I'm definitely going to say it to him in front of his girlfriend because I'm always yelling at him in front of his girlfriend. I'm like, yo, what is with this? What is with that? And he must be like, lady, do you know what I deal with on a day-to-day basis? And now I'm not going to lax because excellence is still the goal, but I am going to do it from a different vantage point. I'm not going to do it from the vantage point anymore that he's not doing it at all. And it's like, this is just going to go to shit. Like, if I don't stay on top of it. Now I know I don't have to stay on top of it so much. I can just be like, Jaden got it, you know, and it's funny because he's going to be managing a grown man. Like, it's funny because he can go on his resume. Yeah, I managed my home health aid worker. It's like, so, and I have a boss she's not an easy one. She's not an easy one. She runs a tight ship. So it's like, yeah, 100%. And it's funny how, like, it just you just feel, and it's not only him. I've seen it with other people too. It's like, I'll say something and I feel like they are not listening. My friend tells me that all the time. He's like, yeah, we'll go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then like 2 days later, it's like I'll notice that he's tweaked something from the conversations we've had. The funny thing is, he never comes back and says I was right. He just tweaks it. He just uses it. And I mentioned it one time, and he was just like, oh yeah, I go home and replay our whole conversation. He's an Aquarius. I go home and a Gemini. I go home and replay our entire conversation, and I realize, yeah, she was right. And then I just applied what you said, and I was just like, so why do you make me go through the whole thing? He was like, because I need to understand, and I was just like, yeah, but you're not listening. He was like, yeah, but I am listening because I replay I replay the conversation. And I guess like that, because he's a double air sign, he can replay conversations in his head. I can't replay conversations in my head. If I replay the conversations in my head as an Aries, Scorpio, and Capricorn, I'm telling you that right now, somebody will burn. Someone will burn or drown. I saw that there was a tornado. There was a tornado on the water near Rockaway and stuff. So that's what would happen because we got to let it go. That's why I say everything I need to say and then I drop it. Because once I said everything I needed to say, I don't need to carry that around with me. I used to carry it around with me, and that used to be exhausting. I did used to go over conversation. I still do it sometimes, but only when I am not settled with it and I feel like it's going to pop back up. That's when I start going, okay, let's replay this. How did I mess it up? But he does it with every conversation. So what I learned to do was give the important hits in the beginning and then drop the conversation. And I'm like, I'm not having a sparring. I told him one time, I'm not having a sparring match with you. And he starts laughing. And then we move on and go get something to eat. But yeah, so you may believe that the person that you're thinking of right now, while I'm saying this, there's a person in your head or persons in your head right now that you are thinking of when I say this, that, oh, they're not listening. It might be it's not activated yet. I'm not saying to stop staying on them. I'm not saying to stop, you know, like making sure they do and hold them accountable. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like me, you might think that they don't listen to a word you're saying and they're not executing anything the way you say that they're doing it until you watch them train someone else. Like, I think a lot of my parenting, I'm going to realize how much my boys listened by the way I see them with their kids, because I've instilled certain things. I've trained them. I couldn't train them to be men, but I've trained them how to love a woman and how to be a leader. Those are the things. Thank God I was trained by only men. Because if I was trained by women, I would be screwed. But I was trained by only the top men. It was crazy. But yeah, so I'm going to see what, and I see it with how they treat their girlfriends. I do. I see it with the respectfulness they have for their girlfriends, and I'm like, okay, the part where I said loving a woman, that worked. That worked. And I taught them different things. If you want me to teach you, let me know. Because I don't know if that's like, because honestly, no disrespect to y'all men, but some of y'all be coming for people. And I'll be like, yo, I'm trying to help you out. Like, why you yelling at me like that? I'm sensitive. Oh, some of y'all were like, whoo, like one of y'all, and you know who you are because you still watching, yeah. But anyway, one of y'all was just like, you called me the C word. And I was like, we don't even know each other. I was like, we don't even know each other. Why would you call? I was like, why would you call me that? I was like, oh, so I would love to help men. I wanted to start a podcast show called Dear Men, and it's like just kind of helping you out because I watch some of y'all and it's just like some of y'all, the things you're doing, it's not going to get the results that you think it's going to get unless you want to get another man. Now, if you want to get another man, that's fine. But if you're trying to get a female, and if you're trying to get a female of my caliber, there's certain things that you got to do and certain ways that you do need to behave and to, like, you can't want a corporate job acting like a blue collar worker. You can't. Even when blue collar workers get promoted to supervisor, they have to make the adjustment. Your whole mindset is different. It is. I can tell you from experience because when I went from just an assistant to the assistant, it was a whole different, it was a, there was things I could not joke about anymore. It's like a whole different mindset, but that's definitely for another podcast show. But you understand? So it's like, let me know, let me know if you think that that would be a good idea. And I'll tell you why, you can send me questions. Don't send any weird questions, but you can send me questions and be like, well, why do women act like this? And why do, and I can only speak for women like me. I can't, or someone similar to me or me. I can speak to you as myself and I'll speak to you as why it would work and why it doesn't work. Or I can, because I hear someone right now, they're going, well, why do women treat men so poorly? Because they like some of you are looking at a flawed premise. You're looking at a flawed premise and you're looking at it through the lens blocker of the game. Does that make sense? Because the game is designed to keep you apart. You understand? How to see if I can talk about this stuff. It's designed to keep you apart. Does that make sense? Because you guys being connected, you know what's going to happen when you guys get connected? It's going to be crazy. And I'm not just talking about women and men, I'm talking about anybody. And I'm not just talking about a romantic relationship. I'm talking about all relationships because this premise can work everywhere. Does that make sense? So it's like they want you separated. So the way the communications are different. You can't communicate to a man like a woman, and you can't communicate to a woman like a man. Does that make sense? You guys have to communicate like you're speaking different languages. You have to communicate like I'm speaking English and they're speaking Spanish, but I understand Spanish and they understand English. Does that make sense? No, that I don't think that means. I don't think I said. I don't think I said that right. And you know I don't edit my videos, so it's going to stay. But anyway, so it's like, say for instance, I speak Spanish, right? And you understand Spanish, right? And you know how to communicate it back, right? So that way you and I can communicate whether I'm speaking in English or I'm speaking in Spanish, because I can also speak both. Does that make sense? Because what happens is, I've learned, I don't know how this came into this lesson. I have spoken to men like I would speak to a woman, and they had no idea what I was talking about, nor did they find it interesting. Does that make sense? And it wasn't until I realized that I needed to communicate with them, and this is just for me, this don't come from me. I needed to communicate with the men around me with the thing they want to be known for. Does that make sense? The thing that they wanted to be known for, doing, being, whatever, that's the language that I spoke to them in. Say, for instance, Jaeden. This is Jaeden Weekend. Is Jaeden. Jaden's a musician first. He's a musician first and mechanic right behind it, right? Like right behind it. You understand? Those are the two things he's wanted to do since he was a child. And I mean like 1 years old. So when I talk to Jaeden and I'm trying to make him understand stuff, I use metaphors and like similarities when it comes in music to get my point across, and in being a mechanic, putting things together, making sure things are running. Your things around you shouldn't be broken. You're here to fix things. You understand? So that's how I talk to him. Girls don't communicate like that. Girls from and I really don't know much about girls. They don't really communicate like that. So when they communicate back to me, they don't really communicate back to me the way, well, I could speak for Jaeden. Jaeden doesn't communicate back to me the way I communicate to him. He communicates back to me in emotion and feelings, and I can understand how that would hurt you. And like it's like he's gathering all the emotions, and he's putting it into like a ball where he can give a cohesive understand like a very, like, I'm impressed with Jaden because I've gone to him for counseling. And I don't go to hardly anybody for counseling. I go to Jaden when I cannot take shit anymore and I'm like, oh, I'm about to lose it. They're like, go see Jaden. Go see Jaden the Wise, and I that's him, Jaden the Wise. He sits, he listens to you. He's he's made me change my pattern with counseling because I've watched him listen to me, let me get it out, then start crafting what I say and like removing the fear-based stuff. And while I'm telling him what's going on, I can literally feel him clearing me at the same time. So I'm sitting there with getting clearing, and at the same time having a safe space where I can explode and he can hold it. And it it's you have to be able to speak their language. So if you're speaking to me like a guy, it's not going to land well because I'm not a guy. And if I'm speaking to you like a girl or a female, that's not the way you speak. That's not the way you understand. And you have to be bilingual in the way you speak. I don't know if I said that transmission right, but if I did, great. If I didn't, I'm so sorry. But this is where we stop. Love you guys. Stay up, stay blessed. Deuces, and we out.